how would you assess the long-term effects of Trump's second-term policies on America's global standing?
Thank you for having me, Hala. And of course, this is a very a question that might need a few hours to answer, but I will try to be as brief as I can. I think that Trump is remaking and entirely rephrasing or reforming, actually, the United States foreign policy in a manner that basically causes the unraveling of the international global world order, basically, because now he is verging more towards isolationism. He does not adhere to any multilateralist institutions anymore. He believes only in the very narrow definition of the national interest. The United States does not believe in free trade, does not believe in collective security. So I think these are all themes that the Trump administration has played over the past 100 days that have demonstrated clearly that the Trump is remaking the entire foreign policy outlook of the United States. And of course, by consequence, the international world order will have to readjust itself accordingly in order to cope with the very rapid changes that are being enacted in this regard.
Mm-hmm. Well, undoubtedly, since Trump came into office, there has been so much going on around the globe that even people everywhere even doubt that all this happened in just 100 days. So what are the potential risks and rewards of Trump's exploration of a third term, both legally and politically?
Of course, this might have humongous ramifications that could be to the detriment of the democratic system. Let's not forget that the United States did not used to have term limits. However, the Constitution was changed in 1945 or 46, and it limited a president's terms by only 2 terms, whether consecutive or non-consecutive. So a president can only serve up to 8 years in office in total. And I think this was a clear provision added to the Constitution in order to prevent any president from staying in power for the rest of his or her life. Because at that time, President Franklin Roosevelt died in his 4th term in office. So I think this was in response to that. However, can Trump amend the Constitution? Theoretically, he can be the opening of Pandora's box.
Yes. So in your own view, how has Trump's handling of trade tensions reshaped U.S. relations with major global economies, especially China?
It's destroying the globalized economic world order as we see it. The entire globalization model of the world economy that has been in place since World War II, and especially since after the collapse of the Soviet Union and the Eastern Bloc, where the capitalist economic model has consumed the entire world. The globalized economy, and which is based on free trade, has been the modus operandi of the global economy. So now Trump is going back, sliding back to protectionism and isolationism, a theme of the 1920s and the 1930s of the 20th century. And if this actually happens, and it is happening on the ground, it will cause major shifts in the global economy. It will have huge effects on living standards in the United States and on the commodities and inflation as well, and also in the world at large. And it could also be the catalyst for further escalation between the United States and China, because the idea of the globalized economic model is that there will be an integrated economic system that will bind all the great powers together and all the major countries together, which will make these common interests sort of the barrier that prevents resorting to conflict and warfare in order to settle disputes.
So his trade policies actually defeat this purpose.
Of course, if the last time the world did this, after the Great Depression in the 1930s, within 10 years we had the Second World War. So again, this could have huge ramifications, especially given the current animosity and the huge and intense geopolitical competition between 2 powers that is the United States and the People's Republic of China.
Okay, so what is the impact of the dramatic shifts in cultural and immigration policies on the American public and political landscape?
I think in the immigration file, this is one of the very few files that I find Trump succeeding in. I think it was rather outlandish and crazy that the Biden administration has applied a de facto open border policy that allowed millions of illegal immigrants into the country. I think no country in the world accepts such an arrangement. And the United States, one of the main reasons why President Trump secured a re-election for a second term in 2024 is the immigration file that the Biden administration and Vice President Harris, who was running as the Democratic nominee in the past presidential election, she was the one directly responsible for the border. She was called the border czar. But now ICE is performing the responsibilities. They are deporting illegal immigrants who have deportation orders from court, yet they were never applied for years on end. So I think this is something that gains the approval of the majority of the American public, and in the larger scheme of things will be for the benefit of the security of the United States and maybe even the economy. Even though less illegal immigrants means that less cheap labor, which means that prices might go up. However, it's a temporary discomfort that the American public will feel for a greater good, that is the stifling of illegal immigration.